I mean, really, garden design, I design places to put plants, and I think it's about more plants I can get in, the better. So that's what I'm all about. So this is my salix. I've pollarded them, so I've got these flames all through my garden at this time of year. The chap who was in my year at Kew, he got the job of head gardener for Stella McCartney. He asked me to go up to the wall garden. When I was up there, Stella McCartney was having her natural sewage treatment plant coppiced. And I said to Keith, the head gardener, I said, can I put some in the boot of my car, please? I brought them back. So these are clones of Stella McCartney's sewage treatment salix plant.
Welcome to episode 73 of Talking Dirty. Over at East Ruston Old Vicarage, looking very smart on this sunny winter day, we have Alan Edward Herbert Gray, our happy and very handsome horticulturalist.
Sunny but glistening, I think. A little bit frosty last night, or in the early hours of the morning, but over in Cambridgeshire, with a sunny smile to just twinkle that frost away, we have Thordis, Maria Sophia Friedrichs. You're looking kind of cheerful in your orange and I don't know, is the other colour grey or is it mild?
It's mild, darling. It's marvellously mild.
Oh, well, there you go. I got it right. Oh, there's one up for me.
We're a bit giddy. We've spent a lot of the time before the podcast chatting about snowdrops. We're obviously all getting kind of excited about those, even those of us who don't have any. But we've got so many plants to talk about this hour. A guest who is long overdue to the Talking Dirty podcast. And you know what? I'm going to consult my book because... Are you sitting comfortably? The introduction could take some time. We have Mr. Plantaholic, author of The Jungle Garden, head gardener at Walmer Castle, holder of 4 national collections, Philip Oostenbrink. Welcome to the podcast. Before we get into all of that wonderful planty goodness, do you have any middle names?
Yes, my middle name is Lawrence.
Oh, it sounds so much better in your accent. In fact, just say your whole name in your glorious accent for us.
It's Philip Lawrence Oostenbrink.
Oh, we're just going to be in heaven for the next hour enjoying your voice, Philip. Well, it's so lovely to have you join us. We actually would have made this happen a long time ago, but messages got lost in the ether, and it's just wonderful to have you along. So... it's hard to know where to start, but perhaps at the very beginning, when did the gardening bug start for you?
Oh, I've had the gardening bug as long as I know. I grew up in the Netherlands. My grandmother had quite a big garden, and we often went down there to help her with the garden. And my parents had an allotment for a while as well, so out there. And yeah, I was always out in the garden. It's always been one of those things. And I think it was also... one of my neighbours, he was a head gardener somewhere, and he always had these unusual plants. And I can remember, I think I must have been 6 or something, that he gave me a Fuchsia magellanica Alba, and I only knew the normal, the ricotonii. And I think that was the first time that I thought, oh, this is different. I really want that. And he gave me a cutting of that. And that plant, or a cutting of that, is still in my mother's garden now. So it's been there a while.
Oh, wonderful.
So I think that's how it started. Just always had that bug. And I think mainly, for me, it's about plant collecting. If it's unusual, I've never seen it before, I want it or I need it more than anything, maybe.
And I kind of feel like with some people, it's that everyone's gardening journey is different, but it feels like your appreciation of, your love of, your connection to particular unusual plants started really early and then just carry on all the way through.
Yeah, I think it is. As I said, that fuchsia was one of them, but I also collected succulents. I had this little rockery along my parents' drive, probably only a square meter or something like that. But some stone in there, and my uncle used to grow sempervivums for a local nursery as well. So I got some plants from him and gradually planted it up. And I can also remember that the local nursery, they had some house plants, and I knew that on Thursday they always went to the wholesaler and to get some more. So Thursday after school, I would always go down there to see what cacti they had, and unusual ones. So I had quite a large collection of cacti at one point as well. And then I think carnivorous plants was another one, and then some air plants and all those things. I killed those.
It's quite an interesting thing, because I think if I think back to my youth, my childhood started with cacti as well.
Really, yeah.
Yeah. And
it's funny, my nephew's the same.
Yeah. There's a lady who lived in our village, and she had, one of these big old barrel cactus things,
Oh,
and it's always having little babies around the base, and
yeah.
Can I have one of those, please? May I have one of those? I love the way you just said, I need it, Philip, not I want it. There's a subtle difference.
Oh, yeah. But for a collector, a huge difference.
I think Flomo will become I need it.
Yes. Plant needs.
Yeah, a much better way of defining Flomo, the desperate needs of the plant collector. So, I mean, obviously it's fast forwarding quite a bit, but how have you come to have 4 different collections?
Well, I started with Hakonechloa, the Japanese forest grass. I think that was in 2013 or something like that. And I didn't have a lot of space, so all I had really was a balcony, quite a large balcony, but still that was it. So I had them on there. And I thought I'll have a small national collection. But I think maybe at some point I saw it in Gardens World when I was still in the Netherlands that there was such a thing as a national collection. So I got more and more of those. And then I thought, well, how many do you need for a national collection? So found out. And I thought, well, it's a nice small collection because, well, a lot of people might even think there's only one Hakonechloa or maybe 2 if you count the species as well. But I think I've got about 18 or 20 different ones now. So it's manageable then, even in a small garden. That's why I started that. But then I think I then got interested in Ophiopogon japonicus as well. The little dwarfy ones. So I started with those, and then I thought, I can keep those in pots, and I don't need much space for those either. And then every time I added a rather small collection, which didn't really help in the end. But then Aspidistra was another one, and that was one where it was a bit like Hakonechloa. You think there's only one, and then you suddenly discover another one. When I worked at Canterbury Cathedral, there was a variegated Aspidistra in the Dean's cold frames, and I saw that, and I thought there was only the green one, the normal elatior. And then you start looking, and someone else gave me a spotted one, and then I went on some nursery websites, which was a big mistake. But so now I've got the national collection of Aspidistra, elatior, and sichuanensis, which are both hardy ones. But I couldn't have all Aspidistra because I just really haven't got the space for it. Also, if I had that entire collection, I would want to do proper research into them. So identify them by the flowers and everything. And there are people who are far better at that than I am. So I'll just stick to just buying the odd new Aspidistra elatior usually. So yeah, that's how it sort of expanded. It's just these things. I find one, think, I didn't know there was another one, and then same with variegated Convallaria. I didn't even know there were any, and then someone gave me a variegated one, and now I've got I think about 15 different ones. So it's just that is I think that sparked it every time that I saw a plant and I didn't know there was another one of that particular species. And you just start collecting, and then you want them all. And I have got other collections as well. It's not that I only grow those plants, of course, but you have to stop somewhere. I can't just start collecting national collections.
Well, even Alan has to stop somewhere.
Yeah. I've only got a national collection of colchicums, so I mean that's enough. Ooh, I think. My tale with an Aspidistra is somebody gave me one. Mm-hmm. And when you open your garden to the public, somebody will come along, and normally it's a delightful little elderly lady, and she's either got her grandson or her nephew trundling along, hugging this great big old pot. And she said, I've got this Aspidistra, and I thought that you might like it because I don't have any room for it anymore. I don't know why, but anyway. And to be quite honest, I looked at it and I thought boring. But I planted it in the garden, and in a very sheltered place, I have to say, and that's probably about 25 years ago, and it's still there today.
And they're very hardy, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's in this narrow little place. It's very shady. It may be in the height of summer gets a splash of sun at the end of the day, but that's all. And I was just amazed. I didn't realise that they were hardy.
No, most people don't, but you see it even in the Dean's cold frame that had been there for years. And I think that's what often happens. People throw it behind their glass house somewhere on a half compost heap, and then 3 years later it's still alive. And so that's really good. But like the elatior, they're hardy to probably about -20 even. And sichuanensis -15, -20. But I've got another one which is called Uan Fat Lady, and that one can go -25.
Philip, is that because it's got an extra layer of fat on it?
Well, possibly, yes. Yeah, could be. But the only problem is with, and then you think, oh, they're a nice foliage plant and they could replace hostas, but slugs love them just as much, unfortunately. Yeah. So yeah, you do get some nubbles. But,
well, I think at this time of the year, I'm at this time of the year, I don't know whether you're into winter flowers very much, but this time of the year, I'm very much enjoying all the varieties of Arum, italicum, Pictum.
Oh, yes.
Those lovely marbled leaves. And I think Wim Bowen was in an article recently said they are the winter hostas. And if you think they are really, aren't they? You know, you get the foliage in the middle of winter. People think in general terms that there's nothing to see in the garden in winter. But if you combine arums and hostas, you know, you've got 12 months of the year foliage in the garden. What could be lovelier?
Yeah, well, exactly. And that's what I'm more about. I went through a list of, what plants can I talk about? And not one of them is about flowers. It's all about foliage for me. So yeah, something like those arums. And there are other cultivars as well. Some really beautiful selections on there. I love them. I really love them.
Yeah. Years ago, Christopher Lloyd wrote a book on just called Foliage Plants. And his title of it was Don't Worry About, you know, flowers. You'll get them anyway.
Yes.
Because foliage plants have flowers too. But you know, if you want to concentrate on foliage, and it was an island bed he was talking about, and how you actually contrast one plant against another to show them off. And I noticed that some of your photographs that you sent prior to this chat that we're having today, there was some fantastic foliage groupings there.
Well, thank you. That's my own garden, actually. So.
Is it?
Yes. Yeah, my garden is slightly smaller than yours, Alan. Mine is 6 by 10 meters. So,
all right. Well, that's enough.
But yeah, I can put loads of plants in there, and that's also why I think I really like the jungle garden plants, because sort of that look, because you can cram loads in.
Yeah. Well, I sort of thought that, you know, this is a very, very useful train of thought for people with small spaces, providing you leave enough room so that you can have a bench or a table and chairs or something outside somewhere. But to just, I mean, to wade through your jungle just after a thunderstorm would be dripping.
Yes. Yeah. There's hardly a path going through my garden.
Oh, that's the dream. Don't want to waste any space.
No, but in 2020, when of course I didn't open my garden for the NGS, I usually open in August, but so I didn't have to cut anything back from the path, and I think it was around late August or in September you could actually not see the path at all. That's how dense it was.
When did your whole adventures in jungle gardening start?
I think it's something even when I was in horticultural college, when I did bits of garden design, I was already looking at what different shapes do you put next to each other. So in that sense, with the foliage, that's what I've always looked at. And I went to Tresco in 1998 when I did work experience in the UK, and went there for a couple of days. And yeah, I loved that as well. And I think that's sort of where it sparked. And then the main one was I went to see Will Giles's garden. And it was actually, I think, 2 or 3 weeks before he died. So I went there on a Saturday afternoon, and first of all, we got there and there was a wedding going on. So we went somewhere else, and at the end we said, oh, shall we go back? I think it said reopened from 3 or something. We did go back, and I'm so glad I did, because of course the garden hasn't been open since. And I think that was my main inspiration really for jungle gardening. And it's especially coming from the Netherlands, of course, a lot of things there wouldn't be hardy, which are hardy in the UK. Things like Fuchsia were quite difficult when I moved here, and you saw those. And for me, that was this exotic plant, the Fuchsia. I mean, look at them now. You just think I haven't got one in my garden. But yeah, there are some variegated forms available, which I also love. But so yeah, that whole tropical things, and to be able to grow these different plants, and it was completely different to any plants I've grown in the Netherlands. And I think that's where that bug came up again.
Yeah.
Where you think, oh, this is different, I need that.
Well, Will was one of the first people, I think, to do sort of this kind of exotic gardening.
Yes,
He did write a very good book on it as well.
Yes, I've got it. Yeah, both.
Yes, so have I.
Yeah.
But
you can't get them anymore.
No, talking about Fuchsias, though, there are some splendid variegated ones. I mean, there's a Fuchsia spider's web, which when I first saw that, Philip, I thought this looks as if it's been sprayed with weed killer.
Yeah, spider mite is my thought sometimes.
Yeah, spider mite.
If you like variegation, then people always tell you that. So I couldn't say that.
But when you see a juvenile plant, it does look neglected and ill. But when you see it opening up and smiling in the garden with wonderful foliage in shade, it transforms it, and it is a splendid plant.
It's beautiful. It was grown by someone in Japan originally, of course. So the RHS has recently said it should really be called Tsumugi-shibori. So that is the original Japanese name. It's almost like a recognition for the grower as well. So it's a nice plant, and there's a yellow variegated one as well. They definitely have their place, but it's just the difference with when I first came over to the UK. You just thought, this is this exotic plant, and now you just think, oh, it's a Fuchsia. That's the difference over the last 13 years. I think it is now. 14 nearly.
Do you grow Farfugium?
Oh yes, love them.
Yeah.
I've got Oreo maculata, and I've got another one. Oh, it's a Japanese one as well. Kiroku, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And it's almost got like a warty growth on top of the leaf. Yeah. Really unusual.
That is incredible. I mean, I love foliage that does something.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Farfugium with the yellow spots on the leaves is lovely, but they're not absolutely fully hardy, are they?
No, I've had a few that sort of disappeared. I think it's mainly drainage, and I've grown that Oreo maculata in a pot, and it's still looking amazing now.
Yeah.
So they seem to do a bit better when they maybe in a pot or really well drained.
Or raised bed or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but they are just lovely plants to grow, and I know there are quite a few new ones going to be introduced over the next few years here as well. So definitely want to watch, and with the milder winters, hopefully we can just leave them outside and in the garden even, and just they'll be happy hopefully.
Well, it's amazing what the amount of different plants that are becoming thought of as hardy.
Yes.
One of the things we started with here was that Salleron, a member of the potato family. It has these little fruits on that are green and they turn to orange. And when I first grew that, I left it out in the garden in the winter and it died. But seedlings appeared. Yeah. And the seedlings, gradually, I think, they have become hardier and hardier. And today it stands outside and it's completely unscathed by our winters. It gets a little bit jaded around the edges when we have very cold weather, but I mean, it's alive.
Yeah, we've got one in our moat. We've got a dry moat around Walmer Castle, which I'm hoping to turn into a jungle garden actually. And
that'd be nice, yeah.
I'm looking forward to. Well, we've already started planting a bit, but that Solanum aliciniatum, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah,
something. That is in there, and it must be about 2.5 meters tall, and it's still green. Yeah, loves it. And then we find seedlings about half a mile away.
We know that's birds.
Yeah, probably. But no, it is changing, and I mean, of course, climate change isn't the best thing, but it's nice to be able to grow some other things in your garden.
Well, it is, yes, it is.
You must be absolutely brimming with inspiration for planting up that moat area at Walmer Castle, because obviously recently you completed your Jungle Garden book, and I suppose there may be people who only know you through that book, or maybe I suppose people who follow you on Instagram. How long did it take to put that together, and what was the original spark of an idea for that?
I think in 2018 I was on Gardener's World, and they asked, because they also did another tropical garden in my village then, and they said, oh, how are the two gardens different? And I then said, oh, well, it's mine is more about the foliage, and different foliage combinations like that as well. So more of a jungle garden instead of a tropical garden, which I feel have more like vibrant colors, like bright flowers and everything. I think that's where it sort of started. Then I thought, well, that is actually something that's not really been written about much. And I love writing things. I've written articles as well. So, but I wanted to write something that was a bit more unique, a bit more niche, maybe even in a way, because so many people have already said how to grow potatoes or whatever, like, or how to prune a rose, those things. So I just thought, well, I don't really need to add to that. There's enough about that. So I just thought, yeah, something different, and that's how I started it. So Roy Lancaster actually put me in touch with Filbert Press, my publisher, and they were very enthusiastic about it. And I think I started, January 2020, I started writing, and then throughout 2020, I've written bits and everything and chapters, and found lots and lots of pictures. I had a brilliant photographer called Sarah Cuttle, who did most of the photography in there, like 99.9% her pictures. Sometimes there was like the odd one, just a quick snap in my garden, but most of them are from Sarah, who's really brilliant. And so that was that. And then last year, it was all put together, the design was all done, and in October it came out, and I'm really happy with it. I love the writing bit. I didn't really like the finding 20,000 pictures again, because Dropbox was a bit slow, but it was just I really enjoyed that bit, and everyone kept saying, "Will it be worth it in the end?" I said, "I'm not sure." this is really starting to annoy me now. And then, but they were right; it was worth it in the end. So I'm really pleased with it, and it's been quite well received as well. There's also a Dutch version called the Jungle Town, as you should know, and published by Terra there, and they're also very enthusiastic about it. So it's really nice, and I think it helped that on my Twitter and my Instagram, I've been following, and people have followed me as well. I've followed back lots of people who like jungle gardening, because it's of course so nice, because you can just search on hashtags and you find people who like the same garden as you do. Quite a lot of there over Christmas have posted a picture of my book, so it was really nice. And I don't know if I'll write another book, but I'm just very pleased that I at least wrote one, and I'm very happy with this one.
Well, there you go. There's something for us all to go and get if we haven't got it already after the podcast. So, Philip, show and tell is obviously the heart of Talking Dirty. And I know, well, we've been promised a crate of plants.
Yeah, they're quite big pots, though. It's not like 24.
I'm already excited, though. So what do you want to start with?
Well, I think if I start with one of my National Collection plants, I think that's it's always a good start. So, see if I can get that out of the crate. There we are.
Oh.
There. Hope you can see that.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is one of the sichuanensis aspidistras. I'll put it there. Sichuanensis aspidistras, and this one it is quite often sold as chromatographic, but the proper name, the Japanese name, is Kinboshi, and it was introduced by Mikanori Ogisu, a very, very famous Japanese plantsman, of course. And I don't know if you can see that, but the spots sort of have this aura around them, and it's just an amazing plant. Also very hardy, of course. -15, could probably survive -20. You might die back a bit, but the roots should be all right. Just a really nice plant. And the sichuanensis are quite different to the elatiors, because they have a bit of a more open trailing habit as well. So you can maybe see it, well, not really, but believe me, it goes outward a bit more. So really lovely plants, these. So that was my first show and tell.
That is beautiful. The foliage, it's almost like when they do a shot of the Milky Way, and you get all of these beautiful, like, different textures and layers of colour. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I love it. And it is so sought after, this one as well. And I actually managed to get it from a nursery in Italy who sold it under a different name. And I don't think they realised what they had. Maybe they have now. It's amazing plants. And it's funny as well, because Italy, for some reason, aspidistras are very, very popular. I run a European aspidistra group on Facebook, and a lot of the members are from Italy. So I don't know what it is about aspidistras that Italians like, or maybe they like Italy.
It's funny how different countries, sometimes you kind of develop a culture for liking a certain plant. I was trying to find some nice named Coleus or whatever they're called these days. I was reading an article by Dan Cooper, the Frustrated Gardener, about how
he's just down the road from me.
you're in such a hotbed of horticulturalists where you live, Philip. But it seems over in America, there's so much more kind of appreciation and selling lots of named varieties, whereas over here you might happen upon some, seed grown mixes in a garden centre, but there just isn't quite as much appreciation in the UK, which is frustrating because I want to buy lots of them.
Yeah, well, I hope I'm actually planting loads of them this year, because we've got some Victorian bedding terraces as well here at the gardens, and I've just ordered, I think it was 500 Black Dragon coleus. So yeah, I can't wait to plant those. I love those. They're so good.
Wonderful. So that's show and tell number 1. Aspidistra, tick.
Yeah, tick, done that. Now I can move on. So as I warned, they are all foliage plants.
We are very happy with that.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
Can you see that all right? Yeah.
Beautiful foliage.
Yeah. So this is a Trevesia palmata, and this is a particular cultivar called Mycolitziae, which has got like more side bits to the leaves. So the other one won't be so intricate. So the normal palmata, sorry, so I'll hold that there. It's Araliaceae, so related to Fuchsia as well. The foliage looks a bit like it, so it is quite glossy, quite leathery as well. Sorry, here I am. And it is just one of those, I love it. And I got this one from France. I think it was through the Great Dixter Plant Fair. Dino brought some over with him. And I didn't realize it was this cultivar. I thought it was just a Trevesia palmata. But it was one of those Flomo plants for me. And then I managed to get it, and I'm really pleased with it. But the trouble was that I think I got it just before I opened my garden for the last time for the NGS, like in September or something. And I just plonked it in somewhere in a tub, and I thought, oh, let's stay in there, and at least I won't have to water it all the time. And then I forgot about it completely. And then, of course, by the time I was putting everything to bed, I just thought, oh, that plant is still in there. We'd had loads of rain, so it completely rotted. So I stuck it in the, so I had it for a month or so. I stuck it in my garage, hoping it would drain and hoping it would shoot up again. But in spring, you could see that the base of it was completely rotted away. So I just thought, well, I've got nothing to lose. I cut the entire stem in half, stuck them in a rose pot, and both of them grew. So I've still got it. So yeah, as rare as they are and sought after, you can actually just cut them in half and you have two. I love it, and it is quite hardy as well. It's sort of tetrapanax hardiness. I reckon they need to be a bit older. So this young plant is in my polytunnel, which isn't heated. So the other day went down to -3.5, and yeah, you can see it's still looking great. But I think yeah, when it gets a bit older, I'll plant it outside and keep one back up, and yeah, try that, see if that works. But common name, by the way, is snowflake tree, and when the new foliage comes out, it is white, and yeah, you can sort of see. It is the shape of a snowflake, you know how you would draw a snowflake as well, that the intricateness is on it. So yeah, really lovely thing this is. And also related to one of my other favorites, which I couldn't bring because it was just a stick, but that's Brassiops mitis. I just love those as well, and I managed to get some of those. And yeah, it's related to that. I think even some Trevesia are now Brassiops or the other way around, but lovely plants, and definitely one that people who like foliage need to grow.
And the kind of I mean, I'm not very good on the botanical terms, but the kind of dissection or the space, I suppose, to put it in a real layman's term, that you get in the leaves, like you mentioned there being a snowflake. If you're listening to the audio version and you're not able to see it, those plants, they just have such grace and elegance, as well as bringing all of that kind of enthusiastic foliage that you want from a sort of jungle plant. Yeah,
definitely. And I think something with a shape like this, you could combine with so many other things, and it will really break up the monotony. Well, not that there's any monotony in my garden, because there are too many plants for that. But
it adds texture, I suppose. Yeah,
it adds texture, different shape, and something like this could go really well with a linear leaf or heart-shaped leaf, for instance. just to get that contrast in. And then I think you then pick up more the differences and the uniqueness of each leaf as well, if there's not something similar next to it. So yeah, that's what I like about it. And this one is so unique. I think, yeah, you could plant it next to so many other things and it'll be great.
Do you have that one, Alan?
No.
You
It's on my
haven't?
list. No, I don't.
Definitely needs to go on your list.
Yeah, it does need to go on my list. And it's a bit like thinking in my mind that some plants need to be, shall we say, slightly more mature with a thicker layer of bark and on their stems before we put them outside. Schlepperas, I was thinking.
Oh, yes.
Some of the schlepperas are similar, that you put them out as a tiny plant and they won't, they just won't do it. The hardest one for me is rhododendrifolia, I think.
Yeah, I've killed that 3 times already.
Yeah. Have you?
Yes.
Quite unintentionally, of course, Philip.
No, I love them. I haven't bought another one now, so I'm going for number 4. No, I had 3 plants, and for some reason, I think it was after 2 or 3 years, I had it in a pot and it was just growing really well. And then one day I came in and it had completely wilted.
Oh.
And it was gone. And that happened with 3 different ones in 3 different locations. So like 3 different gardens even.
Yeah.
So I really don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I hate it because I really love them. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Had a shepherd curse following you round.
Yeah, it must be. Well, I hope I didn't take it to Wall Castle because I'm going to put another one in the moat. So I might get someone else to plant it.
So what's up next? You have started very strong, Philip.
Oh dear. I'll go with another one, which it's not a hardy one, this one. And this is a little white variegated Pelargonium. And it's almost like a little ball shape, the plant, and it grows really slowly. No, it grows quite quickly, but it forms really short growth. So very easy to take cuttings of as well. But this one is called Madame Salleron. And Madame Salleron is one that doesn't flower. And the Victorians loved it because they liked it as edging, because you had this uniform edging all along. And it didn't flower, so you didn't have to deadhead them, obviously, either. And they can flower, like 1 in 100 might shoot out with the flower, but then you take a cutting of that and then it's actually a different cultivar suddenly, which I find a bit odd. But there is like a flowering version of this as well. But the proper Madame Salleron is a non-flowering one. And lovely little plant. And variegated, obviously, as well. One of my favorites, really. One of my favorite Pelargoniums, because it has got that nice round shape to it as well without doing anything to it. And this little plant here, I've just taken, it has regrown, of course, but I think I took about 40 cuttings of this little thing here. And that was a couple of months ago, and it's shot up again. And I'll probably do the same, because eventually I'm hoping to use it for our bedding scheme as well, to have something which is very Victorian, but still different in there. And love it.
That is wonderful.
It is very Victorian. It was introduced in 1877.
All right, that's very specific.
Did you just look that up, Alan?
No.
Your great knowledge of Pelargoniums from Victorian era has come finally to use.
I do love old-fashioned Pelargoniums. We've got a Pelargonium house where we keep, lots of old-fashioned Pelargoniums, and that's one that I can remember having pink flowers on. So I'd obviously got the opposite clone to the one that you're growing.
Yeah, sometimes it is actually missold, that one. So you may have bought it as Madame Salleron, but the proper Madame Salleron does not flower. And I think I've registered it as a plant guardian for Plant Heritage as well.
Right.
And they were quite interested in it because I think someone who collected them, who started a collection, constantly got the one that did flower. So they were after a cutting of one of these, so which is nice. If you can share it, then good. Yeah.
Fortunately, you've got 40, so.
I think this is a wonderful idea. It's given me an idea for some bedding schemes that we have, and I mean, not having to deadhead. What's not to love?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, it's perfect, isn't it? It's a beautiful, hummocky, variegated plant. So you've got all of that interest, and it's super easy to take cuttings from, so you can get lots of them. I mean, literally everything's going for it.
Absolutely.
Oh, no, and they were tiny cuttings as well, and they just all took. Brilliant. Yeah. I got this one from a friend of mine, and yeah, he gave me one, and I've now got at least 40, but I think I've already given some away as well. So yeah, wonderful plant that is. Yeah.
True plantsman, always giving away the plants.
Well, it doesn't work because sometimes you lose some. I have had that in the past as well. And I managed to get it back. Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but definitely that's happened. So it was good.
I wasn't anticipating a Pelargonium being show and tell number 3, so that was a curveball, Philip.
Well, they're not in order of favorites. So, no, not quite. Right.
Oh.
Equisetum banded.
Oh, yeah.
So with yellow variegation, I find it very strange that it's called banded as in IT at the end instead of banded, because that I think would make more sense.
Yeah.
But I do grow these in a pot because I don't want them to spread around. You can actually see it's coming out of the pot as well. I just love it. It's very bright because some of the stems are nearly completely yellow with just tiny bits of green. But it just it also shows that some things are considered weeds and, well, invasive, which I'm sure it is, but can still also be very beautiful. So I also grow variegated, several cultivars of variegated ground elder, for instance, which is also in a pot. But yeah, they can still add something nice to the garden. This one I grow in a pot, and the one that's on my patio is another one. I don't think it's as invasive as the normal one because if it's a bit dry or anything, every year I see it seems to get smaller. This one grows in my polytunnel with automatic watering, and it loves it there. But the other one is a bit smaller. So yeah, I think won't take over your entire garden, but maybe still wise to plant it in a pot. But yeah, it's just a lovely thing. It's just nice and upright. And yeah, the bright yellow and green, you can see it, can't you?
Yeah.
Just it's so nice, and yeah, especially in winter to have that extra color throughout winter in there.
It's got such personality, that plant.
Yes.
Can you grow that one in water?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
So if people want to grow that, and they could put it in a container and put it in their pond, and it wouldn't romp all over the garden.
No, you could do that, definitely. Yeah, they it likes the same as a normal equisetum.
Yeah.
So they will grow like that. Yeah, I've got this one from Madrona in Kent, a nursery, really lovely nursery, and they had it, but I haven't seen it.
Liam, I remember Liam.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So yeah, they haven't had it for a few years, so I'm hoping they still do it. But otherwise, if anyone needs cutting, I might have quite a few soon.
Well, I'll buy one, Philip.
Well,
I think the wish list might be quite long from Alan to you, Philip, if you're not careful.
Oh, you do want one? I said I don't want. I thought you said I don't want one.
No, I do.
All right. Okay, I'll get some cuttings going because they're really easy to propagate because you just cut them off, stick them in water, and they root. So yeah, no, I'll do that. I was planning a visit this year anyway, so I'll bring them.
Oh, well, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah. Well, so talking about equisetums, you know, being vigorous and easy to take cuttings from and things, were equisetums like trees when the dinosaurs were on the? I feel like I've read that somewhere, that millions of years ago they were these enormous trees, equisetums.
Yeah, you can still get the really huge ones, can't you? They're not quite tree size, but I think they're at least 2.5 meters, some of those, which I'd love to grow. I think they might have them at Kew, is it? I've seen them somewhere. But it was one of the first plants, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think if you go back to the beginning, there were some huge specimens. They found fossilized remains of huge specimens, which we don't have today.
Yeah.
No, shame. I'd love to grow one of those.
Yes. You need to go Jurassic Park on it and find a way to bring it back.
Yeah, get me some DNA.
And just out of interest, if you haven't got a pond to put it in and you're worried about it drying out, can you put it in a saucer of water or something like that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I have. Yeah. I've got it in a bright red pot, so the yellow and red contrast quite well. And I just put a saucer under it, so it stays damp all the time then.
Yeah, well, I'm feeling inspired.
I'll send another cutting.
What else have you got, Philip? This is amazing.
We're going to stick with yellow. This is a variegated Alpinia. And the reason I've also picked it up is, shall I just show you?
Is that ginger family?
It is, yeah. Alpinius rumbet, I think it is variegata. And this was also in my unheated polytunnel. Because I have all these plants, I have quite a large polytunnel. It is like a commercial one, but they do very well in there. So I've got all my hedychiums have died back. They're all brown. They'll come up again next year, of course. But this one was still looking amazing. So I thought I'll bring that along.
Oh, that is a real splash of colour. I mean, that is it's a stunning leaf.
Oh, it is.
It really is.
Yeah, I love it.
Mm.
And she said ginger family, which you can sort of smell when you cut it back or take a bit off. It does smell a bit gingery, but it is, it's an amazing thing. And you don't often see them. And I mean, I do love gingers anyway. I've got another smallish collection is my hedychiums, especially the spotted ones like Dr. Moy and Verity and Tahitian Flame. I really love those. But this is smaller, and as you can see, it keeps its foliage a bit longer. I don't know if it's evergreen, but I'll tell you in March.
The streaking on the leaves is so kind of artistic. It's like someone's been and painted each of those leaves.
Yeah, well, I did make an effort.
Is that another one for the wish list, Alan?
Yep.
I got this one online.
That's where I'll go.
Yeah, eBay mine was actually.
Oh yeah, yeah, good source sometimes.
Just remember, you have been buying snowdrops, Alan. So.
Oh yeah. I know.
It's going to be an expensive month.
Yes. Well, this is the time though, because now you have time to browse and buy plants.
It's a very dangerous time.
In spring, that's my excuse. In spring, you can.
You're busy.
You're busy. You have to be out in the garden, don't you, and everything. Yeah. So, this is a good time to browse and order things.
Well, I mean, it's actually, we haven't really talked about Walmer Castle apart from your plans for the moat, but it is very impressive that you managed to maintain the collections and, really throw your heart and soul into your personal garden, while also obviously throwing your heart and soul into your head gardener job and write a book.
Yeah, that's it. Well, thank you. But gardening is it's my hobby, my passion, my work, and everything. So I don't mind. And once my home garden is planted, because that's jungle, there's not much maintenance really anymore. It's just it's fine. And last year I planted some more hardy stuff in there. So I think I only took 2 plants out for not to put in the glass house this winter. So hopefully it'll be even less. But once everything's covered, then of course you hardly get any weeds come up or anything. So that's just mainly enjoying it and making sure that you can still see the path.
Well, but I mean, that's the least consideration, really.
Yeah.
If you lose the path, so be it.
Yeah, well, that's it. And then, of course, at Walmer, I'm not doing it on my own, so that helps as well. I've got a really, really good team here. So we've got a big kitchen garden with a kitchen gardener in there as well, and woodlands and meadows and more formal gardens and everything. So I've got a team of 5 and lots of volunteers. So it's a lot of delegation, obviously.
Philip, who is Lord Warden of the Cinque Ports at the moment?
It's Lord Boyce.
Lord Boyce.
Yeah, Lord Boyce.
Yeah, because I mean that Lord Warden of the Cinque Ports. I mean, he is they are. I mean, I remember when late Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, was Lord Warden of the Cinque Ports, and they spend a few days each year there, I believe.
Oh, the current Lord Warden spends far more time here, actually.
Is he? Yeah.
Yeah, he's here quite a lot. Yeah, especially during the nicer season. He spends weeks on end here, and
lovely.
Cycles to Sandwich and everything. So he's really enjoying the place because Walmer is the official residence still to the Lord Warden of the Cinque Port.
Yeah,
and they have like a part of the castle and with their own own quarters in a way. So that's where he lives when he's here. So he is here quite a lot. Yeah.
Wow. How's this crate of plants looking, Philip? How many are left in it?
I've got one left in it.
Just one.
But it's not variegated even. So can you see that? It's a Metapanix Davidii, and it's a really nice evergreen shrub. I know it's not as spectacular as the others, to admit, but it's evergreen, and it is related to Pseudopanax. I think at some point it may have even been a Pseudopanax, and they split it off. But a really nice shrub. It doesn't grow huge. Like in our climate, probably 1.5 meters maximum. And then it's got all these beautiful evergreen, slightly drooping leaves on there as well.
You just said that it's not variegated, but when you're using variegated foliage, you need plain green foliage to set the variegated off, don't you? To contrast.
Oh yes, yeah, but I do collect a lot of variegated plants, so that's why I was myself surprised that there was actually a green plant in my crate.
I noticed in one of your photographs, I mean, that it wasn't just the different shapes, it was the different shades of green that
Yes.
interested me. I mean, there's one photograph where you have Hakonechloa, like a waterfall towards the front. Behind it, I saw some fern fronds. I can't recall what else was in it now, but I mean, I just thought there was quite a lesson there to be learned. I mean, just take that photograph. I would say to any gardener, take that photograph, study it and learn from it. And there's one other thing I'd like to know, Philip, please. There's a plant that you've used in your jungle garden quite a lot. It looks like a stinging nettle.
Oh, yes.
But it has those lovely little beads of presumably flowers, green flowers on it. What is that?
It is another one. You know, I said 4 national collections is all right. That's enough. But, you know, sometimes you just get tempted. And someone I knew got quite a few Bommeria, it is, herself. And that's how I sort of got that bug for those as well. And especially over the last year, I've started seeing them more and buying them more as well.
Yeah.
Mike Clifford, he gave me one caterpillar with a leaf that's like that, massive thing. And they are related to stinging nettles. Same family, so that they have got that sort of same flower as a stinging nettle. And even my neighbor, who knows nothing about gardening, one day I think I knocked on a door whilst I was carrying a plant or something like that, and she said, "What kind of stinging nettle have you got there?" Then I said, "Well, you're not actually far off." That was a Bommeria. And there's some really nice ones. If you go to Hillier's, the garden in Romsey, they've got lots and lots of Bommeria polystachya, which has also got quite large leaves, at least 20 centimeters across, if not more. And they've had that, I think, since the 1980s. Very hardy, just beautiful, sort of woodland floor plants they are. And Platanifolia is another one that you quite often see, and Nivea, they're also really good. And they all have that sort of, it's almost like the leaf is like a little stingray, so it's round, and then it's got this little pointy bit like a stingray has as well. And definitely. I used to mainly grow or collect actually like linear leaves for some reason that really attracted me. But stinging nettle family, I really like those as well. There's another one which is a nice shrub. It's called Oreocnide pedunculata, which is borderline hardy as well. It's sort of, it does die down, but it will shoot up again, and that's more elongated. So that's another stinging nettle family that I've grown. And I think the worst one, which I know Mike Clifford has stopped growing because it stings too much, is Girardinia, which is a Japanese nettle, and that does sting. But it only lasts for 20 minutes, so you should be fine. But that's not hardy. But that has also massive leaves like that, and I've grown that in a glass house here, slightly at the back, but you shouldn't touch the plants.
You don't want it at the front, just some poor unsuspecting person walk past.
No, that's it. But at the back, I thought it'd be fine. But yeah, it's really a family I've grown really fond of over the last year. And Bommeria, I think they will become very popular anyway, but they are already becoming more and more popular. Great Dixter uses them in their tropical garden as well. So definitely one to get. And that's one that I just think it might not be a national collection, but I do want them all.
You must battle sort of space in your gardens, loving so many big leaf plants. I mean, obviously it's something we've talked to Mike Clifford and others about, Dan Cooper, the Frustrated Gardener, etc. Trying to squeeze all of these fabulous plants into a small space. It was really like that. And when I left the cathedral, which was sort of during the first lockdown, a lot of my plants were there as well.
because I also did a few displays at Hampton Court, sort of with the cathedral, because the collection, the Hakonechloas were there, although it was my collection. But then I suddenly realized, yeah, I do have too many plants, because I thought I need to take them home. This was like a few days before lockdown. You sort of felt it was coming on. So I thought, yeah, if I can't go in, all my collections will die. And so I started bringing them in. And then I was really lucky. Just outside the village, there's an old nursery. They used to grow cut flowers there, and the people retired a few years ago. And they're now renting out their polytunnels. So they're proper commercial polytunnels, 40 meters by 8 meters, I think they are. So I rented one of those, and which is really handy, because now I can just design my garden like I wanted, and lots of greens. So in my garden, I haven't actually got that many variegated plants anymore, but they're just working with different shades of greens, which I also love. And then anything that I just want to collect, I can stick in my polytunnel and just enjoy there. Plus, it's got automatic watering system. So what else can you need?
That is a gift. What wonderful
I know.
thing.
I'm very, very lucky to have that. Yeah, it's it is amazing, and you just overwinter quite a lot of things in there as well. And they just look after themselves almost. So it's good. It's nice to have something like that. But if I just had my 6 by 10 meter garden, I think I would really, really struggle.
I wish more people just rented out commercial polytunnels.
I know, yes. I've never heard anyone else who did it, but yeah, they do. There's loads of people. There's a sheep charity there as well, for instance. They rescue sheep, and they have a few so they can be indoors when it's raining and then use the field the rest of the time.
So there are sheep in a neighbouring polytunnel. We really need them to not escape into your polytunnel. That would be...
No, well, yeah, it is locked by polytunnel, luckily, but there is one. It's a massive sheep called Elvis, and he keeps on leaving the field. So, so it's quite often you're in your polytunnel, you look outside, you see this big sheep go past. But because they're rescues, they're so tame, you just go, come on, Elvis, and he follows you back in.
It sounds like the best place in the world. I think we all need to move and live near you, Philip. It sounds wonderful. Well, at least it means you've got more space to accommodate any Flomos you manage to get hold of. If you're joining us for your first ever Talking Dirty podcast, Flomo, well, we've now reclassified it as the plant you need in your life. But basically, it's a flower, a plant of any kind that you're having a FOMO, a fear of missing out about. I will go first. I have been doing what Philip said and looking through lots of catalogues and seed lists and Instagram, and my FOMO list is very long at the moment. But yesterday I saw a photo from Dean R. Croucher on Instagram of a rhododendron Daricum midwinter, which had the most beautiful little rhododendron flowers. Right now, it looked glorious. And I don't think I've really ever had a FOMO for a rhododendron before, which that just must have been really snooty. I don't have any. I'm not sure I can grow it, but it looked glorious. So I'm going to go and look up a bit more about that one. Is it one you have, Alan?
No, but I mean, the one thing about rhododendrons is that I don't particularly like rhododendrons as a group of plants at all, because I find the matte foliage very, very dull and boring. And I mean, they fill themselves with wonderful flowers, but the flowers don't last very long. And the rest of the year, you are stuck looking at that dull, dreary foliage. It's not to say that I don't have any. I've got one called Polar something or other, which flowers in August, in actual fact, in our woodland area, big white flowers on it. But the one thing I do like are some of the species rhododendrons with smaller leaves. And I mean, my favorite rhododendron, I suppose, is luteum, which is the deciduous azalea. You get the wonderful scented yellow flowers in spring and the lovely autumn foliage before it drops and dies. And I find that irresistible. But I have got 2 very dwarf rhododendrons, which I grow in pots. Don't ask me the name of them, but they cover themselves with white flowers in April and May. And they plonk either side of a formal doorway in a tall pot, tall container. They look sumptuous. I just love them. And I'm waiting for them to get bigger, because I have 2 stainless steel, very tall containers, and I want them to have this big wide cushion over the top of them. I don't know, they're fairly fleeting, but I do like them. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what this one looks like when it's in foliage, because I just saw the flowers.
Well, of course, the thing is that, rhododendrons have an extremely long season. And when I was a child, there was some people that my parents knew very, very well. They used to visit us, and they used to visit us at Christmas time, and they always bought a bunch of rhododendrons that were in flower at Christmas time. And I always thought that was lovely. By the way, I'll just add one thing. If you see a rhododendron for sale called Christmas Cheer, and you think, oh gosh, this will flower at Christmas time, hold your horses, because it won't. It doesn't flower until February or March. I know, because I fell for it.
Do you have any rhododendrons, Philip?
No, it's probably the most diplomatic answer I can give.
The inflection in your voice, Philip, spoke volumes.
Maybe one day I will also have a... No, I don't think.
What's your FLOMO, Philip?
Well, I found that really difficult because I had several plants over the past year that I thought, I really want that plant. And I actually got them. So I managed to get a Bommeria polystachya from Hilliers. And another one that I loved and wanted was Ferbicina microptera. Beautiful hardy perennial as well. A friend of mine has a nursery in Silso, and he had it, so I got a cutting from him. But I think for me, it is mainly plants that I would like to add to my national collections, because I want them to be complete, like that. So I know in the US, there is a new Aspidistra elatior called Tiny Tank, which is like a dwarf variegated Aspidistra. And I think looking on any website in America that sells Aspidistra, like Plant Delights as well, every time I look on that, you just think, oh, I really need that. I really need that. But I think, Tiny Tank is probably one of those, mainly so I can add it to my collection and have the collection even more complete. That's probably it.
And if anyone is interested in your Aspidistra collection, you have a complete list on your website, I think, on your blog of all of the ones you've got.
No, I've got an availability list on there.
Oh, it's an availability
I do
list.
sell them as well, yeah. So I've got far more than that.
Well, so even better, people can come and contact you if they want one.
Yes, that's it.
Well, Alan, then what's your FLOMO this week?
Well, I mean, I've got two words. I mean, follow that. Philip, your list has been phenomenal. I don't think I've ever written so fast in my life. I shall carry on with the Philip's theme, really, which is foliage. And I mentioned earlier various arums that I have that I'm enjoying very much at the moment. And I'd like to take that forward by growing more epimediums. Now, I know epimediums flower, but I'm particularly interested in a woodland area that I'm working on at the moment. And I just think that the foliage, I mean, they're going to be, the foliage is going to be there longer than the flowers. So the foliage has got to be good. And I'm going to take a leaf out of Philip's book, and I'm going to use Hakonechloas as a front plant for the waterfall.
Good choice.
Yeah, it is. And various ferns, obviously. And I'm just going to look at foliage with a new respect, I think. Thank you, Philip.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I mean, lots of things combine very well with Hakonechloas, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that picture you were talking about earlier, actually, that has Ethereum Dre's dagger behind it.
Well, I've got that in a pot waiting for a home, you see.
Well, there we are. You can just copy that image.
Yeah, I will. Blatantly.
Yeah.
It really has been such an inspiring hour, Philip. And it's lovely to be able to see such an array of bright, beautiful plants in January. I mean, we've got a sunny day today, but we've had some dreadful weather and it's been dark and dank and horrible. And then you turn up with sunshine and foliage form, and it's been absolutely wonderful. And smiles and laughter and so much knowledge as well. It's been a real treat. You will have to come back.
I'd love to. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, come back and share more wonderful plants at a different time of year from your jungle garden.
Can I just say something on an optimistic note? I was talking to a fellow Dutchman, a friend of mine this morning called Richard van Egmond. He said to me, did you notice from the last sunny day that we had that the days are now getting longer? Take a look. On a sunny day like today, it will get dark later.
Definitely.
Thought.
Yes, I noticed that yesterday picking up my plants from the polytunnel actually, because I was slightly later and I didn't want to do it in the dark, obviously. But, it was 4:30 and I could still find my way around.
Yeah, me too.
And there you saw Elvis the sheep going for a walk.
Yes. He has left the field.
Oh, well, I haven't smiled so much in ages. Philip, thank you so much. It's been a real treat. I can't wait for you to come back on. Everyone needs to go and get your Jungle Garden book. I'm assuming that they can just pop it into a search engine and they'll be able to find out a way of getting hold of it.
Anyone who sells books really, but if you go to my website junglegarden.com, that also has a link on there to buy it, and then that link actually, if you buy it through there, you also support your local bookshops. So if you don't want to go the big giants, then you can do that one.
Perfect. Well, have a wonderful January. Enjoy the days getting longer. And hopefully we'll see you soon. In the meantime, happy gardening, everybody.
Happy gardening.
Happy gardening. Bye.
I'm nearly here. Hello.
Hello.
Finally.
Hello.
Am I very dark?
You're very shady.
Here we go. There we are.
Yay. Oh, you can see me.
Yes.
All morning I've been putting things in the glass house. I thought, that looked much better and everything. Because I was going to go in our education centre and suddenly this yoga class appeared.
Well, that would have been a novel backdrop. Maybe you could have been in front and we could have just had limbs in the air.